Welcome back. Welcome back to another Up to the Time. Today now we'll be looking at foundation details. In particularly, we'll be focusing on strip foundation. So right here on the screen, you will see some foundation details drawn in orthographic projection and some in isometric projection. Before we go, I'll just list the foundations that we have here on the screen. We have the strip foundation, we have the pad foundation, we have the raw foundation, and we have the pile foundation. All right, but before we go any further, let us get straight to what is a foundation? What does the term foundation mean? Let's start with that. The foundation of any building serves two main purposes: distribute the weight from load-bearing walls to the soil or bedrock beneath and keep groundwater or soil moisture out. What is a strip foundation? Strip footings, otherwise known as strip foundations, are a shallow foundation type, usually boasting a founding level that is no greater than 3 meters from the ground surface. As the name suggests, the formation is in a strip or linear structure that ultimately serves to spread the weight across the total area of the soil. Strip foundations can be used for most subsoils, but are most suitable for soil which is of relatively good bearing capacity. They are particularly suited to light structural loadings such as those found in many low-rise or medium-rise domestic buildings, where mass concrete strip foundations can be used. Now, let us look at a few foundations before we go any further. So we'll go over here to SketchUp, and I have done all my foundation details here as a three-dimensional, and I'm just going to be focusing on the strip foundation. Let's look at it. So what do we see here? Well, we see a rectangle down here which is in gray, and then we see another rectangle going up, which is to represent the laying of the bricks. So let me just get an annotation and point out what we are looking at. Yeah, all right. So this is the first thing we notice. We have this rectangle down here, which is in gray. That is where our concrete base is going to be, and that represents the concrete base. And then we have another rectangle here. If you look at it, we have this. This represents where our blocks will be placed, and then we have some steel. So these are the three main elements of our strip foundation. There's the concrete footing bed, then there's the layer of blocks that we stack up on top each other, and then there's the steel. Yeah, there's the steel bars that are used to hold everything together, to connect the blocks with the concrete. So let us clear this now and let's have a look around so that you guys can see. Oh, and what I did is there's another, when we are finished creating the foundation, no one wants to see the lines of the bricks that we have here. No one wants to see these. So what do? We introduce a layer of plaster wall, which is right here, and this helps to cover all the lines and the imperfections or whatever as the foundation was being laid. So this layer of plaster wall actually removes all these lines and gives the wall a smooth surface so that we can apply paint after. So that's what that is for. So what I've done here in this model, I've tried to show you all what it will look like with the red arrows when there's no plaster, and with this orange arrow, what the wall will look like with a plaster finish. All right. Yeah, so that's it. Let's look at these elements used closely. So here, this is the steel. This is what it looks like. These are the steel bars, and this is the concrete. And you can see this is concrete being poured, and it's being poured to create a floor. But this is the same concrete that we'll be using to create the base for our strip foundation. So this is what concrete looks like, and when it's being poured there. Anything else? Okay, yeah. What do the blocks look like that we are going to be using? It's very important. This is a typical block here. Let us go through these dimensions quickly so you guys can understand before we start drawing. Typical block here. So the height of an inch block, that's what is typically referred to here in the Caribbean, is 203 millimeters or 8 inches if you're reading it from the foot and inch system. Let's go around, and it is 16 inches wide, which is 406 millimeter. And they have 2 holes in them. What are these holes for? These holes are what the steel actually comes up through. The steel that is coming from the base of the foundation, where we have the solid concrete, comes right up and comes through these holes. So that's what those holes are there for. So if you guys want to draw a block, so as to make this, put this into 3-dimensional. To put this image into 3D, we can use 203 millimeters by 406 millimeters to construct our block, our rectangle in 3 dimension. All right, I think we have touched on this good enough. Let us now go straight into AutoCAD. Before I go, just like to show you what I'll be doing today. Today, we'll be focusing on the strip foundation. So I'll be creating the strip foundation here. Again, let us go through let's go through these details, and let's go through the notes here next to detail. Concrete base is at the bottom, and then there's a concrete block work, which consists of the same blocks that I was just showing you. We stack these on top of each other. This line here refers to the ground level. So that means everything that is underneath this line would be underground. That is underground, and everything above this line would be above ground. So that's how to read this drawing. Then I have here I've called up my steel bars, which are in the middle, which is the gray line. And I've also called up my plaster wall, which is represented by the yellow line. Again, this is a strip foundation. We're going to move on, and we're going to start drawing this in orthographic projection, and then we are going to finish off by drawing it in isometric projection right here. All right, so let's get straight into it. What dimensions do we need to get this done? Well, we need to create a base, a rectangle of 300 by 600. So let's go over here. And I'm going to be referencing the material from the previous drawing, right? Okay, so let's start drawing, guys. $600, 300. Okay, so that's our base there, where we will place our concrete. We will pour the concrete in there. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to find the midpoint, and I'm going to project some line up. It doesn't have to be any height. That was a random line. Now, The thickness of our blocks are 200. Well, they said 203 right here, 203 millimeter, but we're actually going to use 200. We're not going to worry with the 3. So these are 200 millimeter. So if this is the middle line, let's offset 100 to the left and 100 to the right. 100 to the left, 100 to the right. Okay, good. Now what we're going to do is we're going to offset 200 up because the height of these are 200. So let's offset 200 up, starting from here. And we can always trim at the end. So I want about 7 blocks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think that's a good number. So now I'm going to trim what we have here. Okay. So my blocks are in. And I'm going to now insert the plaster here one time. The plaster thickness is 10 millimeters. So I'm going to offset from the edge 10. So let's zoom in and have a look at this. So I'm going to put these 2 lines, which are my outer lines, into my construction layer. Why am I doing that? I'm doing that because I do not want that these lines appear too thick on the drawing when I'm ready to print. That's why I'm doing that. Now we need to insert steel or indicate steel is down here. I'm going to put this in fairly random because just to indicate there's steel. So what I'm doing is I'm going to find the center line here. I'm just going to project that, and I am going to offset from my brick line here 100. This is my brick line. I'm going to offset 100 out, left and right, and then I'm going to fillet these to my steel line. So I'm going to fillet that to here, fillet that to there, right? And this is going to be my steel. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to trim. Now the steel isn't finished. I think this is too large, so I'm going to come here and I'm going to trim. Okay, good. I think we got in our steel now. Probably a bit too high, so let me just move this down. Aha, that looks good now. Now we need to give this steel a thickness. I'm going to give it a thickness of 5 mil. Offset 5 mil. Something I usually like to do when I'm finished constructing my steel is to put it into a solid layer, right? So I think that looks good. Let me just shut it off at the top here. Actually, I'm going to just extend it further so that we have the steel being projected out of the detail. Right. So that's our steel. So we have in our steel, we have in our concrete, we have in our block course, and we have in our plaster wall. Pretty much this is finished. As simple as it is, as it looks. What we need to do now is we need to place in the material. See here, so as we need to put in our hatch, I'm going to place the ground line. So I'm just going to place an arbitrary ground line around here. You know what? Let me connect it to something. Right, that's our ground line. Again, everything under is below, everything above is above. I think that looks good. Yeah. What am I going to do now? Hit C. Let's create our concrete pattern. So that's a solid. Now I'm going to go over here, ARCON, AirCon, and you know what? This is the part where I'm going to reference my other drawing so that I can get this information. Actually, I'm going to copy it over here so that I can reference this information, right, for you guys. So now, how much is this? This is ARCONC. That's the hatch type, and it's a scale of 50. So how do we get this now? This is something interesting. If I just place any hatch in here, yeah, I think that's the same hatch I'm looking for. If it wasn't that hatch, I could have placed any random hatch in there and then later on match drop it. I'm just going to put that onto the hatch layer. Yeah, that looks good now. Yep. And now I'm going to put in my brickwork. So I'm going to put in this same hatch in here and then later on I'm going to match drop it. Nothing too hard. Just takes a little time and some patience. Oops. So when this happens, I normally close off the pattern, deal with this now. I'm going to match drop this to, so grab the material from there and drop it there. Nice and easy like that. I don't know what's happening here to this one. Okay, it's now working. Sometimes you just have to zoom around the screen to get things to work for you. I find that works, especially when you're dealing with hatches. Okay, now two more things to put in. We need to put in the ground level material. So I'm just going to offset this down 100. I think that's good enough. 100. Just place a line there and place a line there, right? Hatch, drop a hatch pattern in there, and then match drop it. So if you want to know this pattern is earth, and it's scale at 500, angle 45. So I'm going to remove these. That looks good. Now, one last thing. We need to hatch our steel. It's going to be a bit tricky. I'm going to put this on solid so that as I'm hatching, I can see and know for sure like that things are being inserted. Yeah. This is the steel that I explained will go right through the bricks. They will pass through that hollow opening. Good. So that there is that, but I don't like this. The steel doesn't have to be in that. The solid doesn't have to be on that layer. I'm going to put it onto the hatch layer, and that's good. So everything is on its proper layer. Now, let us now bring over the text. Now, I'm going to show you guys how to get your text to look like this with an arrow onto them. It's called a leader. But first, before we do that, I like to create a margin so that everything looks nice and orderly, and we can then work with this margin. So I'm just going to go over onto my text layer. So I'm on there now. Let's see the size of this text. I think that's 50. Yeah, 50. Now, what do we need to do? We need to select leader. This first option here, leader. And then what I do is I select the point where I'm pointing and I just project. Oh, right, and pull out to this line. Now when I pull out to here, I want to snap it in here. I can either turn a direction, but I want to start writing my text there. So I'm just going to look down here in the command bar and it says specify next point or end. So I'm going to say end. Type E, hit enter. And that allows me now to end my leader line and start typing the note that I want in there. And what I'm going to put in there is concrete base footing. Or you can, concrete base or concrete footing. I'm just going to like concrete base. I think that's better. Close, and that's it. Something as simple as that. Now, if you want to adjust these leaders, if we want to make this arrow bigger, how would we do that? I think we can go leader style, or M leader style. That is the correct text. M leader style, and what I'm going to do is going to go modify. So now my arrows are 50. Let's see if I can bump them up to 75. Just have a look at that. Right, you see that arrow went up to 75. However, I like it at 50, so I'm going to Control Z and take it back down to 50. Control Z is to go back. As you can see, this is the difference when it's 75 and now it's at 50. I'm going to leave it at 50. Now, so what's this next note? This next note is a concrete blockwork wall, right? Which is basically the blocks that you're stacking this thing on. So I can then just bring over my notes from here. If I want, I can copy and I can bring this here and set that up right there. Aha, but the problem is, look, I need to bring this back to there. So this is a concrete block wall. Let me just pull this in here so that it doesn't want to go in. Okay, so you can see it is pointing at the concrete blockwork wall. Or you can call this concrete blocks. Now the next thing is when we come up, we get our plaster wall. But before that, I'm going to label our ground level, so that somebody reading this will be able to tell that this is the ground level here. Ground level. 50. Okay, let's bring this note closer to the ground. Yeah, that looks good now. And plaster wall. So I can grab the note from here, or I can just create my own note. I'm going to create the own note now. Create my own note using a leader. Plaster. Or you can call it layer plaster. Plaster. Now, the only thing to label now is the steel. So just put that in. Steel. Where's the steel gonna go? Right here. You know what? Let's detail it from here and then bring it downward. End. Steel bars. That's what I mean. I can then bring this down to wherever. Yeah. So that looks good there. So it's 4. 1, 2, 3, 4 plus the ground level. So you can remove this line. And that's how this will look. Now we need a text on here. So I'm going to grab this text and bring it up over. So this is a strip foundation. And I'm going to put here orthographic. Orthographic. Yeah. All right. So this is one half done. So we drawn our strip foundation and we've labeled it. Now we need to create the isometric. All right. So the isometric, what's that going to look like? Let's go back over here so I can show you. This is the isometric and this is what it's going to look like. I'm just going to bring it closer so that you guys can see it as I'm building it, because I'm going to build this from scratch. Now, so let's go on to the isometric mode. All right. I've gone on to the isometric mode. So that means that this line is going to be parallel to this line here. So that's how we know we are in our isometric drafting mode. Now, let's start building this. So, okay. Then you can start drawing around here. Alpha line. And I'm going to go up. The height we went up is 300. And now I'm going to send this across. And then I'm going to go across 600. 600. And then we need to come back down 300. And we can connect that there. Yeah. So I normally go back. How far do I go back? Just let's choose a number like 1,600. I know. Just choose some random number to go back. Now connect that to that by filleting. Oops, nope. That's not where it's supposed to be. Okay, good. I mean, some of this detail that I'm actually drawing, you're not going to see. I'm just drawing the box to start off. Alright, so that's my box there. That's usually how I start off all my isometrics. And that's the foundation there. Right? I'm not going to hatch it now. We're going to now create the bricks. So let's turn my isometric drafting mode to a vertical plane. Find the midline. I'll go up. Now while I'm on this L, we go 100 in that direction. Let's change. Let's go up. And this is something that you guys can do. If you got 100 here and you want to get 100 onto the other side, you can either offset 100 and it's like that 100 there. Or you can hit C for circle. You know that's where 100 open up, and you can see this line would then be in tangent to the voila, and that's it. Right? And that's how we know that that's 100. Or you could just do what I normally do sometimes and draw a line in the direction I want. I'll call it measurements 100. Right. Many different methods. Anyway, that's in. And now we are going to be sending these bricks up 200 now, right? So let me just join this line to that line, so it's one line. Let me just see something. 200. I would not advise you guys using the offset tool here when you're trying to insert distances. No, I wouldn't advise that. I would advise you guys to actually go around and draw a line like this and go up 200 because that's the distance I want, 200, and know where your 200 indicator. So you could do something like this, and then what you can do is you can copy that in place there, like 200, you know. It's probably the best bet. Can't go around doing something like that. So what I'm going to do is grab this, copy. I'm going to grab that here. Okay. And then another one here. Zoom. And then that there. Okay. I think that's good enough. So that's our bricks. We've laid them. Now let's send them back on this level. Okay, so that's our bricks in. Now, what am I going to do? I'm going to transfer these into the proper layer, scrub everything, put it into outline. All right. Now, I need to trim. What's happening here? Okay. So she trim. Now that looks good. I'm just going to move this out of the way. Just slide it by there. Oh yeah, that looks good now. So what do I need to put in here? Oh, I need to put in the holes for my bricks. Let me just measure them from here. It's one of the main reasons I brought this detail in, so that I can measure these things. So how much should I offset in? Where? DI for the distance. Measure the distance from there. Huh? It's 27. No, that's 30, sorry. So that's around 30. Okay. And then this goes back 400. So I'm just going to come here and offset this. Nope, don't offset. Let's draw a line. 400. So I'm going to deal with one at a time. 400, do that. Offset this now. 30 and come in. Let's see how 30 all around here. Good. That's like that. And now let's half this. Set 30. 30. Or no, let's do 15. 15. 15. All right, so that's our bricks. Those represent the holes going through. So now what I can do is I can copy this whole thing backwards, not backwards, I'll copy it down the line like this to here, so that we have in all the bricks. What do you know? That fits right in there, perfect. What do you know? Anyway, I'm going to put these inner cutouts in a different layer, because these don't need to be in the outline layer. This material is not an outline, so you can just put it into reference for now. Yeah, I like it in there. Let me go MA. Ooh, and then I do that, and then max drop this back to here. Okay, that looks good. That looks good. Now, what's needed now? We need to place our layer of plaster onto this. Let me offset 10 millimeter. I'm going to do some offsets here. Offsets there. Offset there. Offset there. And then just join them. So fillet. Yeah. Fillet. Yep. Extend. Trim. Good. 1, 2. And place them into the construction layer. Let me just trim down here, because if the plaster is there, you wouldn't see that. Actually, this line now would be moved from there to here. Yeah. Max drop that and there. So good. I mean, so far so good. So far so good. I think this is a time now where we're gonna put in our details. Oh, these steel bars down here. These steel bars are actually round bars here at the bottom. I'll put them in quickly. Let me just draw a line here. And draw down that. This is fairly arbitrary. I'm not really measuring. I just want to get this in. Alright, and that's my steel going up there. Voila. Cool. So now let's divide this line into div into 3, ddp, and put that there, div into 3. Okay, cool, good. So for this one, you have 4 steel bars. Yeah, why not? Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. What are we going to do now? We need to create a little 5, 5, 5, 5, 5, 5, 5. Alright, so we create the isometric box. I'll go and do this really quickly. I'm going to be creating an isometric circle. If you guys want to know how to do this in more detail, you can go onto my channel and look at how to create an isometric circle. But for now, I'm just assuming that everybody knows how to do this. I know it's a bad thing to assume, but if you want further assistance, check out my channel. Look up how to create an isometric circle. You have everything there that you would need and more. Right? We actually do the isometric circles on all three faces of the cube. So it's just not on one face. No, it's a full course there. So check it out. Let me trim this properly now. Remove, 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 remove. Okay, cool. So I got my isometric circle. I'm going to delete the box. And there we go. That's a circle here. I'm going to now slot this into place. Voila. Now I'm going to give this a thickness now. So move that from there over to there. And that's the thickness. So that would represent one of our steel bars. Let me move this, copy this now over. Copy it over. Copy it over. Again, I'll set this 5. That's the steel there. I'm not going to spend a lot of time detailing. As a matter of fact, I'm going to take out this so that we just have the steel just projecting like that. Yeah, I think that expression looks better. I'm going to put these into the hatch layer. Oh yeah. That's my steel. Now it's time for me to hatch. So I'm just going to put in a solid hatch in here. Then I'm going to match drop it to what I want. And what do I want? I want concrete for in there. So let me grab the concrete from here. MA is the command match drop. That's it there. And now I want block work. So that, how to represent this. And the reason I match drop from this drawing is because it's the scale that I want my things at. Those are already set to a scale, so I'm just going to match drop from there so that I don't have to go and actually adjust the scale. All right. So this is what I'm going to insert that hasn't been inserted on this isometric detail. I'm going to put in the steel bar here. So what I can do is I can grab this. I'm just going to. So while I experiment, please bear with me. Hope this works. Rotate. Ta-da. Nah, scrap that idea. Let me just project a line outward like that. So let me create an isometric circle here. This time let's use 10. Let's use 10. Let's draw this. And there we have our man with a beard with an afro. Now we trim. Hair gone, beard gone, eyes remain. Well, not quite. We trim some of the eyes. So now all that we have is a circle. Interesting. So let me just remove construction. And yes, I'm doing this fairly quickly because creating a circle is something that if you want more help with, you check out my site and look for something called isometric circles. So that's why I'm going through that very quick. Okay, so I got that in now. Okay, so I got that in now. I can copy this. I got my reference point here. Yep, lovely. Da-da. Da. Ta. 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 Up the line. Ta. Ta. Okay. I'm just going to transfer these over to our hatch there. Right. So yeah, this is it. So this is our isometric strip foundation detail. What's missing? What's missing? What's missing? You know what? I'm just gonna grab this. Nah. And just I don't think anything is missing, so to speak. Oh yeah, label. How can I forget? We need to label. So I'm gonna come out of my isometric mode. It's good working with you. I see some people draw try to work the isometric mode and still be trying to draw in orthographic mode too. It's interesting. I'm just going to copy this strip foundation over to here, and then I'm going to change strip foundation and then change that to isometric projection. So now that we have that, I can delete this. Yeah, but this is no longer needed. Boom. So let's get rid of this text line. And let's see where we can transfer these labels over here so that we can make this also read properly. So I'm going to grab the concrete base because the concrete base is the same. Nothing has changed. Let me grab that and pull that out to here. Yeah, concrete base. I'm going to concrete dot work. Pull that to there. See layer of plaster. And last are steel bars. Hold on. So let's pull that from there to there. Okay. Cool. Steel bars, layer of plaster, concrete block work, wall, concrete base. Somebody said, hey, well, you didn't put in the earth, the ground, which is so true. So I'm just going to try my best to put in the ground here before we close this off. And this goes down 100, right? So this goes down 100. Let me just copy everything. 1, 2, boom, boom. Let me just draw a line to close that off. Cool. So this is my ground level. And again, as you know, the ground doesn't only occur on one side. The ground occurs on over here as well. And over there as well too. So let me just draw a line. So let me do that, yeah. I don't want my ground plane to be taking up too much of my drawing. Copy. Then bring this down. 100. Yeah. Okay. Trim that off. Yeah. Alright, cool. So this is what the ground level looks like. Alright, so I'm going to grab the hatch. Oh boy. So I'm just putting in a solid in here. I hope I'm not confusing anyone. So then I'm gonna click there to close off the solid, yes, and then I'm gonna match drop. Alright, just like that. So this represents the ground. And pull these up. Some people tend not to do this. I can see why. But I'm just doing this for educational purposes. Why? Because you can see it makes the drawing a little hard to read. Let me look at it. Right, so that is our strip foundation orthographic projection and the strip foundation isometric projection. Hey, you guys could turn off this if you don't want to. Draw it with the ground line. Doesn't really matter. The ground line is just to give it an extra level of detail. If you think that this ground line is too distracting, hey, you know what? You can remove it. It doesn't have to be there. It's not a big thing. The important thing is to have it drawn properly and have it labeled correctly. So this brings us to the end of our strip foundation. Let us look back here at our SketchUp detail and see how it looks. Let me spin this around. This is a strip foundation. We go back now over into our AutoCAD and we have it here laid out. Strip foundation is perhaps the most common foundation, so I would advise everybody to learn this and understand where the concrete is poured, understand where the concrete block works go, where we will start our blocks, and understand where the steel, how the steel is inserted, and everything is combined. All right, I think that's it for now. So next time I will present, what would I present next time? Let's look back here and see what's to come. Next time we will go on to the foundation, isometric, raw foundation, orthographic. We'll be looking at that next time. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this. As usual, please like and subscribe to the channel. Practice, and even practice harder. Try doing these things. I advise my students when you're finished, print this out and stick this on your wall in your home so that as you're walking through your home, you can actually look at this 10 seconds, look every 5 times a week until it's in your brain. Thanks for joining. I hope you guys learned something new. Until next time, I am out.